hope you are all well and staying home in this epidemic situation. Today I am going to take a class on article for class 8, but both the student of class 6, 7, 8 or 9, 10 will be beneficial after watching this. From the beginning, of our student life, we know that there are 6 letters in English alphabet. Among them, 5 are vowel sound and 21 are consonant sound. But the problem is that from the beginning of our life, we start to know that we use vowel sound, we use vowel letter, not sound. That's the problem. So let's start. These 5 are vowel sound and the other rest are consonant sound. So among the sounds, some are semi-vowel, sometimes A's and Y. But we will remember these are the 5 sounds are used before and other consonant are used before A. So articles can be divided into 2 parts. First one is definite and the second one is indefinite. We know in articles we use it as determiner. In Bengali, when we use ta, ti, khana, khani, it's called definite. And when we use ta and it's called indefinite. Like indefinite article, we use only the, and indefinite we use a or an. So before consonant sound we will use a, and if the consonant sound is plural or definite or certain, then we will use the. So at first I would like to start from a, then an, and the last one the. So at first we will use A. Where to use? Where to use article A? Before consonant sound we use A, but we have to remember that singular countable noun. First one. I hope that all the students have pen and pad to write down like singular countable noun. Example, for example, we can say I need a book. So here book is a singular countable noun, and as the B sound here is a consonant sound, that's why we have used here a sound. Before profession, we can also use before profession. Before profession, we use article A, like she is a dancer. Here D is a consonant sound, that is why we have used here A as vowel. Even if we use a verb just like noun, then we can use consonant sound and we use a. Like, so our point number 3 will be before a verb. We usually know that we use modal verb, auxiliary verb, have verb. Sometimes we use to, that means infinite. We use verb, but before verb we use article. It's very rare. We can use and or a, but definitely we will use a before a verb. It's very peculiar, but we use it. Like before verb, like I am here to have a talk. Here talk is a verb, but being a verb, before we use a. Next, our point number 3 will be, point number 4 will be expression of quantity. When we use some amount, some quantity, then we can use a as articles. Like I need a great idea. I need a great idea in this situation. So the great idea may be a quantity of expression, and sometimes we can use a lot of, a great deal of, etc. But here a great idea, a great idea is a situation. In this situation, here is the expression of quantity. In number 4, we can use in number 5. Sometimes we use number 5, certain number. Certain number always use a, like 1,000, 100, a million, a billion, etc. So before figure of a number, before figure of a number we use a, like 100. Actually, here articles used as a adjective or determiner. When we use determiner, it certains the number of the quality of the quantity. 100, a million is that. If we use 200s, then it is 2, not a. So in case of 1, here 100 is a substitute of a. If you have any problem, then understanding any point, then comment. I will try to answer them. Next expression of next point is point number 6. Expression of something's price. Expression of price, speed, like a price. We can say if you want to buy something, then you ask a seller that how much is the price. Then he may answer or she may answer like that. 100 taka a kilo. So a kilo, that means a kilogram, is sold on 100 taka. In the same way, we can use 60 kilometer an hour. So here we use a, use an, because here silent, a is silent. But I wanted to is it on your an article. But in case of A, we will use where the consonant sound comes. In the exclamation sound, in the when we exclaim something which is beautiful or bad, then we use the sound article A, like in expression or exclamation. We say that what a pity. Like it is a matter of joy. So a matter of joy. And the last part is that when we use a sound, if you want to describe an unknown person's familiarity or identity, then we can use a. Like yesterday, I met Mr. Sorry. Yesterday, I met a Mr. Curry. You only know his name. His name is Mr. Curry. But when you want to describe others and you know only his name, nothing else, then in case of that, you can use a sound. And at the fine, we can use, in fine, we will use the omission of a sound where we don't use. The first one, omission. Before abstract noun. In sentence, at the last point, if you have any abstract noun, then you need not to use any sound. It may any article like a and or the. Like it is a matter of. It is a matter of that fact. In question, you will have read the passage, answer the question, use a and the, and use a cross where you don't use any article or zero article. So here we have already an article in the noun form, but at the last point of the sentence we have fact as abstract noun. Then we should not use any article. Number 2, before or after possessive case. One of the most important fact or action of an article is that it determines noun or noun like word. So possessive case plays the role of an adjective. At the same time, an article is also an adjective. That is why before or after we shouldn't use any possessive case. Like in question, if you have his, her, my, our, its. This all are possessive case. Possessive case or adjective. So after possessive case or adjective directly comes noun. So before or after we shouldn't use any article. In classes, you may learn that. In classes, you may learn that before you sound, we use a, or before one we use a. These two are exception, but here you, if any letter of English alphabet sounds just like itself, we should always use a. So you, with the beginning of U sound, not vowel sound, with U sound we'll use a, like university, uniform, even U. It just sound like U, that is why we'll use before it a sound. So next one we have the article an before vowel sound. Before vowel sound we will use an, like an apple. Yeah, vowel sound a. It's very common and you all know from the very early of your life. Second one, consonant acronym. Consonant you know acronym like M, B, B, S, or just like SP, superintendent of police, SPL, X-ray, FBI, NPI, etc. Here M, S, H, X, N, F. This acronym is consonant, but when we pronounce it, we use just vowel sound, like M, M. But acronym we use M, B, B, S. In Bengali, if we want to write, then we use M. So someone says that here comes A, but we can use M, E-M. In pronunciation M, here sound is many things, that is why in consonant acronym we will use M. All those will use M. In case of silent A sound, we will also use M, like silent H sound. like our, here A sound is silent, here S is also sound. That is why we use an. But when it sounds like in Bengali word or direct H, like horse, hotel, then we use A. Whatever it might be, or any lunch time, breakfast time, or dinner time, we never use an article. Like it may be dinner, supper, lunch, or breakfast. No articles. And finally, we will use the article. This is definite article. In a sentence, we follow that sometimes noun phrase. Or sometimes possessive case. Noun phrase or possessive case are interrelated. Like if I say a possessive case at first, boys school. Here, boys is a possessive case. But when we turn it into a noun phrase, we can use like that: the school of boys. So it's certain. As it's certain, we use here the sound. So in case of all word which is certain for someone, some place, something, then we will use the article. In the same way, if we have two words side by side, like first one is the and adjective. In case of using article plural or making plural, we use this term. But in case of making adjective plural as plural noun, when we use adjective as plural noun, then we use the. Like the pious are happy. So here the pious is an adjective, but before the adjective it has become plural. If any common noun stays singular, then we use a or an. Before common noun we use a or an. But if it is become plural, we use no article. Like animal. We will use some example using the word animal. Like a cat is a common noun, it's an animal. A cat is a pet animal. Next one. Cats are cute. I have written 3 examples. First one, a cat. When it is common and singular, we use a or an. So as consonant sound, I have used here a. Next one, look this sentence very carefully. Cats. It's plural. So as it is plural common noun, then we will use zero article. We will use zero article. But when it is certain that the cats of my house, then it is certain. And as it is certain or definite, then we have used definite article. The. Point number 2, which is unique. If any unique thing comes in the question, we will use the. Like the Sundarban. Unique. Rise of Dinaspur. Mangoes of Shatta. And sometimes unique thing which is incomparable, only one thing in the world, then we will use the definite article the, like the waves, the seas, the rivers, the hills, etc. They are available, and you know guys all this. So I am not going to teach them. But point number 3, I am going to teach you, that is, we use thus definite article before superlative and cardinal number. Use the before cardinal number and superlative. Cardinal number we use in short form like first, second, third, all of them will have the with this cardinal number. From the beginning of 1 to the 100, we will first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, etc. This cardinal number will always have the article. Next one, superlative. Like in superlative, we will use the best, these two. But when we use any comparison, in case of comparison, we can also use the article before comparative. Like if we make any compare with anyone or with any word, then we will use the sound. It's very rare, but we use it. Like so, use the before comparative. Like sometimes in television ads you may say that the closer the better. In closer, the closer the better. Or sometimes we say the sooner the better. So both here are comparative, and we have used comparative sound. Finally, we have another comparative sound, like if we compare anyone to anyone. Like I would like to compare you guys with any special man who is not available in our country, or you are not that person, then we can use the as definite article. Like you are a boy and you are very good at bowling. Then we can compare you with Mustafizur Rahman, but you are not Mustafizur Rahman. Okay, so in this case we can use the article like you are the fish in our team. So here it's a noun. It has been compared with you. So it is another example of it. I have already said that before waves, before seas, before the ships, before rivers, before desert, before island, before United States of country, you always use the. So it is very common. And the difficult part of article I have used here, and with every sentence example I have used. But when you will try to exercise on your textbook, you will try your level best and ask ourselves. So finally, I am going to teach the last point of today's class. Like which sentence, in which sentence we have a vowel. Then the beside two words we never use double vowel. But when we have an adverb, we hardly use any vowel. Like adverbs like or will have zero article. So what are the most common adverbs we have in our text? Like adverbs home, school, bed, hospital, these four words are very common, which is used on text after. But one is home, school, bed, hospital. This is we use zero article. But if you want to make it definite, then you can use any article. Like I am going home. But you say that I built. I have built a home. You may use, but in case of that, adverbs, there it has become a noun, but here it is adverb. So before any adverb, we will not use any article. That's all. And in your exercise book in second paper class 8, page number 75, you have to exercise. Try your level best to exercise on home, and see you in next class with another point. Thank you all.